What's up guys, my name is Ace, and the Season 3 Reloaded update is here for Black Ops 6, and yesterday I covered all of the miscellaneous changes and fixes. Most of it was just like bug fixes and stuff. And in today's video, we're going to be covering all of the weapon balancing that took place for multiplayer. Now, when it comes to the Warzone side of things, I'm not going to be doing a full dedicated video like this since I don't have all the pre-patch data for everything. However, I may do some individual videos talking about some of the weapons that got adjusted when it comes to Warzone, but today we're just focusing on the multiplayer side, and there were absolutely some very key adjustments that were made here that will be shifting the meta a little bit. So let's dive into this, and we'll start it off with a buff to the Goblin MK2. Now, with the Season 3 update, the Goblin MK2 got a significant fire rate buff, but at the same time, it also got a damage nerf. And because of that, it ended up being a net nerf at the end of the day, even though it was kind of meant to be a buff. So they've made an adjustment to that now, and what they've done is they've added an upper torso and upper arm multiplier. And this means in the maximum damage range, we're now capable of getting a 3-shot kill to the body as long as we land at least one bullet to the upper torso or upper arms, which is pretty easy to do. So more often than not, in that maximum damage range, we will be getting a 3-shot kill now. And with the 3-shot kill, we kill in just 200 milliseconds with the Goblin if we can reach the rate of fire cap, and that is an insanely fast time to kill in this game for body shots. So this should now be a significantly better gun. If you like semi-autos, definitely try this one out after the update. I think you're going to be very impressed with it. However, that's not all. Another thing they did is they just increased our neck shot multiplier to match our headshot multiplier. So it should be a bit more forgiving in that area. It is worth noting this doesn't increase with the CHF barrel like the headshot damage multiplier will. So it's just a base buff to that zone. So that's the Goblin. Next up, let's get into the Kilo 141. And with this, we just saw a slight nerf. And this was just to our maximum damage range, which really only affects our headshot potential. It's a 5-shot kill to the body before or after that range, so that's kind of irrelevant. But this is the range at which you're able to get a 4-shot kill if 2 of those shots hit the head or just 1 with the CHF barrel. That's the range that has been reduced. So nothing too major here. You won't even notice this unless you're getting headshots. Next, for the CR-56 AMAX, this one also caught a very slight nerf, and once again, this one only affects headshots, but what they did here is they just slightly reduced our mid damage, but not enough to make it a 5-shot kill. It's still going to be a 4-shot kill to the body at that range. However, with this slight adjustment, it's now going to take you 3 headshots if you want to get a 3-shot kill, whereas previously, you could get a 3-shot kill with 2 headshots plus 1 body shot. Interestingly though, this behaves exactly the same when using the CHF barrel. It's still just going to require 2 headshots mixed in with a body shot for a 3-shot kill, just like pre-patch. So overall, still going to be an upper tier assault rifle it looks like after this update. This was quite a small adjustment. And now that we have that out of the way, let's move into the SMG category. And the C9 10mm mod got a few adjustments. Keep in mind, this only applies to the mod itself, not the base C9. And the first thing you'll see is all of our range values were increased by a noticeable margin. We can now see compared to the base C9, there's a much more noticeable difference when using this mod. And another thing, in that second damage range where we're getting a 5-shot kill to the body, it's still going to be a 5-shot kill to the body, but they did boost this value slightly, so we now only need 1 headshot mixed in with 3 body shots for a 4-shot kill without the CHF barrel, whereas previously we needed 2. So headshots are going to be a bit more effective at maintaining that 4-shot kill potential out to almost 30 meters at this point, and that's pretty impressive. But that's not all. Another thing they did with this mod is they reduced the vertical recoil penalty from 40% down to 20%. And let's have a look at pre-patch versus post-patch. As we can see, we went from having noticeably more vertical magnitude compared to the base C9 to now having a little bit less magnitude overall compared to that base C9. And with the combination of these buffs, this is going to make the 10mm mod a lot more attractive and actually worthwhile, at least in some cases for some people, compared to the base C9, which is still an amazing gun, by the way. This doesn't make it a clear choice over the base C9. It's just a lot more viable, and I can see more reasons to go in this direction if you wanted to. Now, the only other SMG adjustment here was a very, very slight adjustment to the SAUG. What they did here is they just slightly buffed our drop times to be more in line with the other SMGs. And for those that aren't familiar, the drop time is how long it takes to put the weapon away before starting to pull another weapon out, like your secondary, for instance. So with this, our base drop time went from 500 milliseconds down to 300 milliseconds, and then with fast hands, it went from 400 milliseconds down to 200 milliseconds. And like I said, this was just to get this on par with the other SMGs, since this one was an outlier in this area. After that, for shotguns, with the ASG-89, it recently got a rate of fire buff with the Season 3 update. However, that buff didn't really work properly with rapid fire, so that's something they fixed with this update. Instead of just gaining 5 rounds per minute with rapid fire equipped, now we get a boost of 11 rounds per minute when using this attachment, so it's going to be a little bit better than it was before this update. Next up, let's dive into the LMG category, and they adjusted some of our pre-fire delay values while also finally giving us the exact pre-fire delay values, because up until this point, I've had to rely on hand testing, which especially for really small values like this, is super hard to do accurately. So let's just go through this. With the PU21, our base pre-fire delay is unchanged at 20 milliseconds, and that's quite a fast pre-fire delay if there's going to be a pre-fire delay. However, with the adjustments, if you use Fast Mag 1, this will now reduce our pre-fire delay to 10 milliseconds, whereas previously we saw no reduction here at all, and Fast Mag 2 literally eliminates your pre-fire delay with the PU21, and that's actually pretty crazy. This actually makes it essentially like one of the best assault rifles in the game, because one of the key downsides of using an LMG over an assault rifle is the fact that you have to deal with that pre-fire delay and add that to your technical time to kill. Now that we don't have to do that if you use Fast Mag 2, we're killing in just 240 milliseconds with zero pre-fire delay, and that outguns every assault rifle in this game aside from the new and improved Goblin MK2. Now with the XMG, our base pre-fire delay is also unchanged, although it's 33 milliseconds rather than 20. And once again, we now see some improvements when using Fast Mag 1 and Fast Mag 2, but not nearly to the same extent as what we saw with the PU21. It's now going to be 25 milliseconds and 17 milliseconds respectively. Then for the FENG 82, our pre-fire delay is 25 milliseconds. This is unchanged as well. This was actually buffed a while back. However, with Fast Mag 1, this will now reduce that to 19 milliseconds. And then finally, with the GPM G7, our pre-fire delay is also unchanged. It's 33 milliseconds. And since we don't have access to Fast Mag attachments on this, there are actually no buffs in that area, but something else they did do is they buffed our headshot multiplier both with and without the CHF barrel. So now, at any range, without the CHF barrel, we just need 2 headshots mixed in with body shots to reduce the number of shots to kill, whereas previously we needed 3, and with the CHF barrel, now we just need 1 headshot mixed in at any range to cut down on the number of shots to kill. Previously, this was 2, so nice buffs there. And now let's get into the big adjustment that many people have been waiting for. This is a nerf to the Grau full auto mod on the SWAT 556. Since this was added at the beginning of Season 3, this has been by far the most powerful gun in the entire game, hands down. It had an SMG level time to kill at double the range of what most SMGs would have, while also being very accurate and easy to control, and excellent handling stats. And there's really not been much that has been able to reliably compete with this particular mod. And with this update, they nerfed it pretty hard. What they did here is they nerfed our maximum damage to the point where it's now going to be a 5-shot kill to the body in the maximum damage range rather than a 4-shot kill. And this means we're now killing in 328 milliseconds, which is noticeably worse than average for an assault rifle in this game. So quite slow. However, one little upside with this is the fact that in this range, we just need to mix 1 headshot in to cut this back down to a 4-shot kill. So there's still some really good potential with this gun, but you have to make sure you're landing that headshot. Otherwise, it's really not going to be great at all. Then, also in the marksman rifle category, just like with the ASG shotgun, the Tsarkov 7.62 saw a rate of fire buff with the Season 3 updates that didn't properly apply to rapid fire. So we see a similar adjustment here. They buffed the rate of fire when using rapid fire from 241 rounds per minute up to 252 rounds per minute. And then finally, for marksman rifle adjustments, the TR2 saw a buff to its recoil. And this is a gun that saw a pretty nice buff with the Season 3 update to its rate of fire and therefore time to kill. However, the problem with that is they didn't adjust the recoil to account for the higher rate of fire, so we ended up with quite a bit more recoil on this, which limited the effectiveness of this gun after the buffs. So what they've done with this update is they've significantly reduced our vertical recoil, and we can really see that when looking at the side-by-side here. And it turns out our post-patch vertical recoil, the total magnitude that we experience here, is now essentially identical to what the TR2 was at before it got its rate of fire buff, but now we have the faster rate of fire. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking this one out after the updates, because now with this rate of fire improvement on top of the previous buffs, this should be a pretty deadly marksman rifle. As for snipers, well, the HDR did get a slight nerf in Warzone. That didn't apply to multiplayer, and we actually saw some buffs for multiplayer with the HDR. And with this, they reworked our entire damage multiplier structure as well as ranges. As you can see here, up close, it's now going to be a 1-shot kill anywhere but the legs, whereas previously it was just upper torso and upper arms. However, they did nerf the maximum damage range from 101 meters down to 89 meters, but then they added a mid-damage range, which extends out to 127 meters, and within that range, it's got the same one-hit kill potential as our previous maximum one-hit kill potential. So at the end of the day, this is overall a very significant buff. However, beyond 127 meters, which I don't think it's even possible to find a line of sight beyond this range, let alone a practical one. There's no way you'll find a practical line of sight beyond this range in multiplayer. So this range is really irrelevant, but I do want to point out, just in case they happen to add a map that somehow has a longer range than this, the HDR will no longer be a one-shot kill at all to the body. It will only be a one-shot to the neck or head, but you really just don't have to worry about this. It's pointless. Now after that, with the nail gun, they just fixed the point of aim on this. This is something I covered in the gun guide for this. Pre-patch, the nail would actually originate from the base of your front sight. And this would mean you'd have to aim extra high and cover your target with the nail gun, whereas post-patch it's now located as you'd expect, right on the tip of that front sight. But this doesn't mean you still don't have to aim high. Since your velocity is so low, you're going to be experiencing a lot of drop with those nails if you're stretching your range out at all. And then finally, there was one last adjustment that was made to a weapon here, and this is with the Kali sticks. They just adjusted our drop time. They improved it pretty significantly. As you can see here, the amount of time it takes to swap from your Kali sticks back to a gun is significantly better post-patch compared to pre-patch. And just like with the SAUG adjustment, this is more so just to bring this in line with the other melee weapons in the game. It's not like this is now a standout or anything. And there we go. That's going to wrap it up for today's video, covering all of the weapon balancing that took place for multiplayer with the Season 3 Reloaded updates. Overall, definitely some really nice, appropriate changes here. The Goblin is looking like it's going to be an absolute monster in the right hands. The TR2 is looking really good as well. I'm glad to see they got on top of that Grau conversion kit, because that was totally overpowered and taking over before this update. I was a bit surprised to see the CR-56 didn't get a little bit more of a nerf than it did. Not that I'm really complaining about it, I just kind of thought they would take it a little bit further. But those are just my overall thoughts on this, and this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you feeling about all of the weapon adjustments that took place with this update? Are you guys generally happy with these, or not so much? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.